station around him. But his calm march doesn't last long. Suddenly, he hears the whirring engine of an FPV drone approaching from behind. The sharp and ominous buzz cutting through the silence echoes like a harbinger of death. The soldier flinches and instinctively tries to react, but it's already too late. An experienced operator from the Magyar Birds expertly guides the FPV drone with pinpoint precision, delivering a direct hit. Moments later, the soldier collapses to the ground and is neutralized. This strike doesn't just mark the end of one soldier, it stands as clear proof of Ukraine's dominance in aerial surveillance and the deterrent power of its unmanned systems. The war in Ukraine is not limited to classic trench battles or static front lines. One of the most destructive and strategically impactful aspects of the conflict is the repeated targeting of Russian armored and motorized convoys. These strikes not only shift the balance on the battlefield, but also have a powerful psychological impact on the enemy. Through these operations, the Ukrainian armed forces are showcasing the evolving nature of modern warfare. In recent months, regions like Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Kupiansk have witnessed intense convoy attacks. These strikes highlight Ukraine's growing capabilities in aerial surveillance and drone warfare. The first step in these operations is often carried out by unmanned aerial vehicles. Long-range reconnaissance drones and FPV first-person view attack drones are used to track Russian convoys in real time. These aerial platforms identify the most vulnerable moments of the convoy's movement, triggering the start of the attack. The primary objective of convoy strikes is to disrupt the enemy's ability to reinforce the front and to cut off critical supply lines. Targets are chosen carefully. Ammunition trucks, fuel tankers, and armored personnel carriers are among the highest priorities. Precision drone strikes not only disable vehicles but also eliminate the military personnel inside them. The effects are both physical and psychological, weakening the enemy's will to fight and undermining their operational efficiency. One notable example took place on the Donetsk front, where a Russian armored convoy attempting to advance was targeted by Ukraine's 10th Mountain Assault Brigade. The lead vehicle was struck first, forcing the rest of the convoy to halt. FPV drones were then launched in waves, picking off each vehicle one by one. The operation, executed with perfect timing, completely neutralized the convoy and prevented the Russian forces from reaching their planned positions. Such strikes act as deadly traps for any advancing units. Even when convoys try to move through wooded areas or hidden routes, Ukraine's advanced reconnaissance systems usually detect them. Convoy attacks are not limited to moving vehicles. Sometimes Russian troops are targeted while resting or regrouping in temporary positions. Especially during nighttime operations, thermal imaging systems help detect these clusters, which are then destroyed through artillery strikes or kamikaze drones. Another highly effective tactic is known as pre-cutting. In this method, Ukrainian forces anticipate convoy routes and either mine key choke points or keep them under continuous drone surveillance. As soon as the convoy enters the danger zone, explosive devices are triggered or drone attacks commence. This leads to losses even before the convoy can make significant progress and causes substantial disruption in the enemy's momentum. Coordination is a key factor in the success of these operations. There is seamless communication between drone operators, artillery units, and ground forces. Once a convoy is spotted, multiple units are mobilized simultaneously, and the entire operation can be completed within minutes. This level of speed and precision makes it nearly impossible for Russian forces to mount a proper defense. Ukraine also uses the footage of these attacks to boost public morale and draw global attention to the reality of the war. The published videos serve not only as propaganda tools but also as psychological deterrents against Russian troops. Many Russian soldiers reportedly hesitate to move forward or even abandon their positions altogether due to the fear of drone ambushes. In conclusion, convoy attacks have become a cornerstone of Ukraine's defense strategy. Leveraging mobility, technology, and tactical coordination, Ukrainian forces are successfully undermining Russia's logistical backbone. Each destroyed vehicle, each disrupted supply line tilts the war in Ukraine's favor. These attacks demonstrate how crucial intelligence, precision, and adaptability have become in modern warfare. Recent clashes on the Zaporizhia and Donetsk fronts highlight the significant challenges Russian forces face when attacking Ukrainian defenses. Particularly, the expertly laid mines by Ukrainian engineering units have effectively neutralized Russian armored vehicles one by one, bringing their advance to an almost complete halt. The intensity of these explosions delivers not only physical destruction, but also a severe psychological blow, damaging both the vehicles and the morale of Russian troops. Despite Russian attempts to overcome these mined areas through various means, the Ukrainian military anticipated such efforts and reinforced the defenses with additional barriers. Thanks to this robust defense line, approximately one-third of the Russian armored vehicles involved in the assault were destroyed. The determined resistance of the 5th Separate Assault Brigade played a crucial role in neutralizing the enemy attack group and maintaining balance on the front. One of the largest enemy assault attempts in the region was also successfully repelled by Ukrainian defense lines. Russian troops trying to hide in wooded areas were targeted with pinpoint accuracy and eliminated. Subsequently, unmanned aerial vehicles entered the battle, dropping bombs indiscriminately on enemy positions. Although Russian infantry tried to crawl away under heavy fire, Ukrainian drone operators tracked them relentlessly, denying any opportunity to maneuver. The Tavria paratroopers once again thwarted the enemy's advance from the Kurohov direction, securing superiority. Ukrainian forces initially focused on disabling armored vehicles, then shifted their effective fire onto enemy infantry. Some Russian soldiers sought shelter in the woods, while others chose to stay motionless on the ground. However, all such attempts were in vain, as accurate fire wiped out every effort. Notably, the 10th Mountain Assault Battalion delivered a decisive blow to the enemy lines, marking a turning point in the battle. The destruction of Russian armored vehicles and ammunition strengthened Ukraine's control over the front line. Thanks to precise strikes by FPV drones, enemy vehicles were rendered useless, and Russian troops suffered heavy losses. Many were forced to abandon their positions or flee under the relentless assault. Individual acts of heroism also shaped the fighting in some areas. A soldier codenamed Scala from the 425th Battalion single-handedly stopped a Russian group advancing toward Pokrovsk. Using grenades in close combat, he neutralized several invaders. In the same sector, the 5th Separate Assault Brigade completely repelled the Russian attack. Although the enemy tried to advance through wooded lines, Ukrainian artillery and drone units prevented their progress, inflicting heavy damage on their equipment and forces. The fighting was not limited to Zaporizhia and Donetsk. Clashes in the Kursk region further demonstrated the effectiveness of Ukraine's defensive capabilities. Russian soldiers from the 810th Naval Infantry Brigade faced off against the 95th Air Assault Brigade and suffered heavy losses. Drones successfully identified and eliminated individual targets, while armored units were quickly neutralized. Ukrainian forces continued to track Russian soldiers attempting to escape with damaged vehicles. FPV drone strikes were launched in succession, forcing enemy troops to abandon their positions under intense pressure. Over the course of the two-day operation, Russians lost 28 vehicles. More than 100 soldiers from the 810th Brigade were neutralized, and casualties in the Kursk direction reached severe levels. As Russian troops lost their will to attack, Ukrainian defenses strengthened across all fronts. Many retreating Russian units were hit on the way and neutralized before reaching cover. Artillery fire targeted both advancing and entrenched enemy forces. In the Donetsk direction, a Ukrainian National Guard fighter confronted 4 invading soldiers. Thanks to training and composure, he neutralized 2 enemies while the remaining 2 took cover. During the intervention with grenades and machine gun fire, Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles also joined the fight, contributing decisively to the outcome.